Welcome to Lesson 4 in My Size Unit 24, What's Consistent About Matter. In this lesson, students will answer the question, what happens when we mix substances with water? Students will figure out that solutions are a specific kind of mixture in which the solute dissolves a solvent. The particles of the different components are evenly spaced out in a solution. In the engaged portion of this lesson, show students the picture of the iced tea. Propose the scenario. If you were at a birthday party and you wanted sweet tea, how would you know if this pitcher contained sweet tea? This probe should be used to get students to think about how we can't always see the different components in a mixture. In the Explore portion of this lesson, you'll divide students into 6 groups and give each group a substance to mix with water. Students will mix salt, food coloring, Kool-Aid, cornstarch, sand and iron, and oil with water. Have each group share out what their mixture looked like after they mixed it up. Students should record what the groups share out on the Mixing with Water Observations handout found in their student journal. After groups have shared out, give them the tools from the previous lesson to try to separate the components of these mixtures. Some groups will find that they can separate their components, like the iron and sand, while other groups are struggling to separate their components, like salt water. Distribute 1/2 of a petri dish to each group. Have the groups pour a small amount of their mixture into the petri dish. It should be enough to cover the bottom of the dish, but not enough to fill the dish to the top. Have students fill out a piece of paper with the contents of their dish and place their dish in the windowsill. Students are going to revisit this petri dish setup in Lesson 5. In the Explain portion of this lesson, you'll start the conversation by asking what happened to the different substances when they were mixed with water. Students will notice that in some cases they can still see the substances in the water, but in others it looks like the substance has disappeared. When it looks like the substances have disappeared, these are what we call solutions. In a solution, a change has occurred that makes it more difficult to separate two substances. Students will then watch 2 videos about mixtures and solutions. As students obtain information, have them fill out their Mixtures Key Takeaways handout found in their student journals. Use the answer key found in the teacher pages to help guide the conversations as the students watch the different videos. The big takeaway should be that all solutions are mixtures. The difference is that in a solution, the solute has dissolved in the solvent. So for example, sugar is a solute that dissolves in water, which is a solvent. This creates a solution. In the Elaborate portion of this lesson, students will consider what mixtures and solutions look like at the particle level. This will be a review of Lesson 1 when students looked at the states of matter at the particle level. You'll re-watch the video that goes over what mixtures and solutions are, pausing the video around 2:35. This is a model of what sugar water looks like at the particle level. Notice how the sugar is pretty much evenly distributed amongst the water molecules. Go back to Mixing with Water Observations handout found in the student journal. Students should fill out that middle column where it says draw a model of the particles. They should consider what they think the particles look like at the molecular level. Using the example drawings in the teacher pages, you can have the discussion that in a mixture, the particles are going to be more clumped together. So if you look at that example for cornstarch, you'll see that the darker particles are clustered together, and they're not evenly distributed like they would be in Kool-Aid. These are visual models of how the particles look different in solutions and mixtures. In the Evaluate portion of this lesson, students will consider what that sweet tea that we talked about at the beginning of this lesson would look like at the particle level. You'll have them complete Modeling Solutions Evaluate found in their student journal. This is a formative assessment to give you a good read to see if students understand the difference between mixtures and solutions at the molecular level. By the end of this lesson, students will have developed a model to describe what happens when substances dissolve in a solvent. Their drawings of the particle arrangement in a solution helps them meet this objective. They will continue to consider the differences between solutions and mixtures as they work towards their design challenge of describing a meal.